So, were you planning on going to the ball of sweetness?
Well, I might, if the right guy were to ask me.
Oh.
So, do you have a date already?
Oh, do I have a date, girl? Who you think you talking to over here?
So, do you have a date?
No. But you know what? I just had the craziest idea. It's regarding the ball. I was wondering.
Welcome back, everybody, to Kenan and Kel with Adam and Aaron. The name on my birth certificate says Aaron.
And the tattoo on my tongue says that my name is Adam.
You have a tattoo on your... Never mind.
Yeah, that seems like the worst place to get a tattoo, doesn't it?
I hear that the ones on the inside of the lip go away after a while.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they dissolve.
That's probably bad, because that ink is just going into your body and your system.
I don't know if the people who get tattoos on the inside of their mouth really care if it's bad for them. I just don't think that's their concern.
I guess that's a fair point.
Their concern is the man, keeping them down.
Yeah, well, this episode is all about showing signs of affection for other people. And stuff like that. So maybe if it's you put the name of your loved one underneath your lip.
I love you. Yes, so this is a great episode. An episode written by Kenan, Nick Cannon, and somebody else, right?
Yep, his name is Mason Gordon. And the episode is episode 21 of season 3, Who Loves Who?
Yeah, and one of my favorites. One of the most in-touch episodes.
We've talked about like emotional core ones of the show, and this is on that list.
Yeah, this is definitely one to remember. So if you haven't seen it in a little bit, good news for you. It's not on Paramount Plus, so cancel your subscription because they've done nothing but leave out end scenes for me.
I believe that's because of the music that's involved. Usually if there's some big licensing music stuff, they pull it.
Paramount Plus, I apologize. Please get me back on your subscription. You can find this episode, or at least 4/5 of the screen worth of this episode on Dailymotion.
Yeah, sometimes their exports aren't that great. As you pointed out, this is a crazy writing team that's behind this one.
Yeah.
So I looked it up. Nick Cannon and Mason Gordon wrote another episode together, not of Kenan and Kel, though, of Cousin Skeeter. Oh. And kind of right around the same era of time. But this is the only thing that Kenan in his entire career has ever been credited for writing.
Really?
Yeah, which is crazy. I mean, like, I guess he's known as an improv comedian and stuff like that.
I mean, he probably has contributed to many skits on SNL.
Absolutely.
But he doesn't get the credits for the episode.
Yeah, he doesn't write the stuff beforehand.
But he might, he might set up like a scene, but he doesn't get the credit for...
It's crazy because after seeing this, I'm curious what the situation was because Nick Cannon at this time was like 19.
Yeah.
I didn't get the lowdown on Mason Gordon. Kenan's like in his early 20s. So, like, what's...
I think they just... I mean, it's episode 21 of season 3, so I think they're like, let's give these guys some creative liberty. And I think... I don't know about Nick. I don't know what Nick Cannon was doing at this point. But I know he was in another... Maybe they were friends. Probably.
I think he was singing and dancing.
Right.
As a mail deliverer.
Well, that is how he enters the picture here. Yeah, so Nick Cannon comes dressed in like a blue suit kind of deal. And he sings a song which goes something to the tune of, I have a message for Mr. Kel Kimball. It might just give you pimples.
I hope it makes your day fine and dandy. Please enjoy some flowers and candy. And he sings this in like a very like a nasally voice.
Yeah, and he looks like a bellhop.
Yeah, he's one of those telegram people. I think is the bit.
Yeah, we need these back.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I guess...
I mean, especially with, like, pandemic and everything, they should have had these people going around to front doors and delivering cheer. There should have been caroling happening, like, in the middle of the summer.
Nowadays, it's kind of like that celebrity type deal on, like, what's the website called? Cameo? You ever see this?
No.
Cameo is an app where you can see some of your favorites, like, actors and actresses do bits for, like, your friends as gifts.
Oh, that's cool. It's like that, except I need something in person.
Yeah, it's a little sad because it's like it's secondary characters like the guy that plays like Kevin on The Office.
Hey, you're talking smack about Brian Baumgarten.
I'm just saying that I think it might be like unfortunate to like reenact the chili scene every week for some fans.
Hey,
or something.
that'd be like if we redid a podcast, our most listened to podcast, Diamonds Are for Roger.
Yeah, we go back and do that one.
No, it'll be this one. And then after Nick Cannon delivers the message, hands the flowers and candy to Kel, he says, "I hate my life," and then walks off stage, which is one of the most, like I said, this episode was down to earth. One of the most teenage appropriate things you could say.
Oh yeah, no, that's really funny. He does it so well. We've seen Nick Cannon as a student in the school before, but this is the first time where he like seems to do a bit.
A little bit, yeah. And then we learn that Kel has a secret admirer. That's where this gift came from.
He's very excited to have that secret admirer, even though he does not know what one is.
He does not know what a secret admirer is. Kenan's just like, I feel like you're going to find out. We have a lot of work to do this episode, or something along those lines. Come on, Spanky.
Yeah. And Kel says, "What do you mean work to do? I'm unemployed."
Unemployed Kel is off to the races.
This is a unique intro scene because it's the first time he calls him Kel Kimball on stage.
That's true.
I think it's the first time we've ever mentioned what their last names are on stage. Because sometimes I feel like they're just Kenan and Kel on stage.
Oh.
They're halfway between Kenan Thompson and Kel Mitchell and their show counterparts.
Yeah, and the curtain's like a portal to another world.
Yeah. We haven't mentioned their outfits yet. Cal's is unremarkable. We've seen this kind of sweater vest type thing before.
All right, Adam, I can only see half their outfits. That's why I didn't say anything.
Okay.
I can't see the lower half.
Kenan's wearing a leather jacket. Underneath that, it's all yellow.
I see that. Yeah.
Yellow shirt, yellow pants.
Oh man, I'm missing the yellow pants. I figured he was wearing jeans.
Nope.
He just had a dad outfit on. No.
He looks like a Dr. Seuss character with a leather jacket. All right. Well, speaking of outfits, let's get into this show. That's all about secret admirers, not just Kel's story, but also Kenan's story.
That's right. So enter stage middle. We have Charla stacking boxes and Kenan sweeping in Rigby's, our favorite corner store in Chicago.
She has like a Paddington hat on.
Right. And she's not stacking, she's dusting. I'm sorry.
She's got like a literal like feather duster.
Yeah.
From the movies.
An old woman enters, our favorite old woman from season 3, and she asks Kenan, "Excuse me, young man.
Is it cold outside?"
He goes, you're the one who just came from outside. I see.
And she says thank you and leaves.
Yep, and that's it. That's the last we see of her.
I love how that frustrated Kenan gets with her.
His patience level is 0.
He's just like waving his arms like in frustration as she leaves.
So we already have a lot of characters. We have Nick Cannon, we have this old lady, we have Charla is here, and then Chris enters. So everybody's here. Chris is cutting out early because he has...
Cutting up the rug.
He's about to cut a rug at the Funk Bus tryouts.
Yes, do you recall when we last heard of Funk Bus?
No, not.
There was a Funk Bus poster in the bathroom of Chris and Chris's mom.
Oh no, was there?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
in like the pink bathroom.
And we were like asking ourselves like, what is that? What is Funk Bus? And this episode doesn't describe what Funk Bus is.
I think we can only infer that Funk Bus is the most... Whoops, dropped a cup. Oh. Funk Bus is the most magical funk experience of the 90s.
Yeah, I guess so. It must be like an MTV TV show type thing.
My favorite thing is that funk is out... It's like out of date. It is not really out of date, but it's more so out of date. Like
Chris liking
even
funk
now.
makes him a nerd.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, R&B is where it's at nowadays in 1999.
Right, and to go to the funk tryouts with your mother, well,
it's very sad. He says to them as he leaves, "I wish you love, and peace, and funk."
I was gonna say I want that on a Kenan and Kel with Adam and Aaron T-shirt, Adam.
Yeah, at our T Public store.
That's right.
Check the show notes.
So, Kenan then tries to he kind of tries to make his move, because as we learned, there is a Sweethearts dance this Friday.
No, this Saturday, actually.
This Saturday.
Really weird for a school function to have a meeting at, like, Saturday.
Yes.
Usually they do it Friday night so the teachers can get out of there for the weekend.
Yes, and the students don't come absolutely drunk.
Yeah, isn't like prom usually on Fridays too?
Yeah, they don't want students to have the whole day to
get into trouble beforehand.
To get into trouble, yeah.
This is kind of the crux of this episode. It's Kenan and Charla having a lot of conversations where they think they know what the other's talking about and misunderstanding.
Also known as the language of love.
Yes. And it really feels very, very real. I gotta say.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it feels down to earth. So Kenan's like, so Charla, are you going to the dance this Saturday? And Charla says, well, I might if the right guy asked me. And then she goes, Kenan, well, do you have a date? And he's, do I have a date? Oh, of course I have a date, or something like that.
They just immediately deflates. No.
He deflects, yeah. He says no at first. He is really shy around Charla because obviously he's got the feelings.
Which is, hasn't been super established beforehand. I mean, Happy B-Day Mark, he alluded to it. Like, when he thought he was disguised as a ninja to her. He was like, oh, what about this Kenan fellow? He seems like a handsome gentleman you might want to date. But that's it. Like, we haven't seen anything from Charla this whole show. They've just had a very kind of, and she's usually pretty snarky. In this episode, she's very kind of, maybe demure is the word for it.
Well, I feel like the normal writers of Kenan and Kel are geared towards a younger audience, like 12. Mm-hmm. But I think that when these guys get a hold of this, they're going for like the 14 to 16, you know what I mean? Like they're going for like the romantic state, because like a teen drama, if you ever watch one, like a modern one, it's just like people who look like they're 25 and they're all just like always shirtless and they're just like romance. But then there's like a huge difference between that and a kid show.
Yeah, I agree with that too, and I guess it's not these writers' fault that like Charla's hasn't dropped any hints along the way. Their premise is just, hey, this is basically like a Valentine's Day special.
Kids understand that, right?
Start off with feelings. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I guess I can happily move past that. So Kenan seems to be getting ready to ask her out. So he's like, do you have a date? And if I was wondering, maybe. And of course, they're interrupted by Kel.
Right. So Kel comes in, and he has a giant present. He has to wheel it in on a dolly.
It's like 7 feet tall. It's octagonal box.
Very large box. He just whips this box off. It's from his secret admirer, and what does it say on it?
I have to say that this scene is posted a lot on Kenan and Kel fan pages. Like, this one's comes up pretty frequently, so I didn't write down, but the letter says, to my love burst, to quench his mighty thirst.
Yeah, and it's a giant bottle of orange soda.
Yeah, a Food Lion brand orange soda bottle.
It is. It is very clearly Food Lion brand.
The bottom half seems to be like a prop, but the top half is real orange soda.
It definitely looks like orange soda or orange beverage. Cal gets so excited he gives Kenan a big hug. He's running around, and then he starts shaking it. And then Kenan's like, no, that's a carbonated beverage. Don't shake it. Oh, Cal, no, don't open it. And, of course, there's a fountain that pops out, and Cal is just having a great time dancing in the orange soda rain once again.
Yeah, he's having the time of his life. There's a really great YouTube clip of Cal Mitchell rewatching the scene years later, and he's, like, hyping himself up.
Yeah, that is a great scene.
He calls it out as like, I'm doing like these like Michael Jackson like dance moves as he dances and gets coated with orange soda. So it's an awesome set piece.
It's a great set piece, and probably one that should go in the Kenan and Kel museum one day when they make it.
Yeah, this is an interactive exhibit. Like, you can shake up the bottle.
Do you think they're going to clip our podcast and put it in different scenes? The archives. Well, maybe they'll get us to do like a guided tour. Like the audio tour.
That's actually perfect for us. Yeah, we can. We'll just release that as an episode.
Yeah. We'll do the walking. Yeah.
We've got an email to read later in this episode about what happens post when we run out of episodes. That'd be a great episode for us to do. Just the guided tour of Kenan.
I love it. Yeah, definitely. We'll make our own layout. You can design the HVAC system.
I guess so. This is coming together way too fast. Hosted in Chicago.
We'll have a snack bar at the end.
Or Florida or California.
Or Orlando would be fine, yeah. Okay, so that's the end of that scene, first scene. We go to the Rockmore residence where Kenan's watching TV, and Kel enters with his backpack and overalls.
Yeah, he wears this kooky outfit. I think it's right before school. And he found a flyer that he gives to Kenan. A Chekhov's flyer for all you storytellers out there. Something that isn't important right now, but will come into play later on.
Right, exactly. Meanwhile, Kel pulls a giant lollipop out of his pocket, and he tries to take the plastic off by biting it. And the rest of the scene is Kel trying to take the plastic off of this lollipop.
Which is fun because Kenan's also doing funny stuff in like the foreground. So it's good Kenan and Kel because they're both being very funny.
Yeah.
I gotta say, this is in the running, in my opinion, for one of the best written episodes.
Well, that's what I've been saying. It's so like gets the characters so right because Kenan and like young people wrote it, because it's like, what would young people do? It's not written, but this episode's not written by adults.
We haven't seen them yet, but like, I think Kenan's parents are on point. They're like written great. Chris is awesome this episode.
Yep, everybody's in full form.
Yeah, peak form. Exactly.
And so this scene it captures that because Kel's doing this slapstick gig in the background with a couple funny comments, and then Kenan's like doing this she loves me not kind of soliloquy.
He asked Kel, say you were a girl like Charla, would you go to the dance with me? And Kel's just like, are you asking me to dress up like Charlotte and be your date for the dance?
He's like, no, you're missing the point.
That would totally be a plot of an episode, which is the funny thing.
Yeah, that's right. Kel tries to take the plastic off with scissors, and then he gets mad. And then he walks to the kitchen, and he like points to the lollipop, and he's all angry at it. And then Kenan sits down and faces, in the chair, faces the front door. And he's like, am I the right guy for Charla? I mean, I'm a guy and I have a right hand. I'm right-handed, I think he says.
Yes. Oh, we got a lot of Kenan facts this episode for the spreadsheet.
Oh, yeah.
The first one is that, he is right-handed.
The second one is that he is emotionally not intelligent.
No, that's Kel's strong suit.
An emotional delinquent.
Speaking of Kel goes into the kitchen to get some tools, and he emerges through like the little, what's it called, the window with like a
breakfast
plunger.
Bar. Yeah, he has a plunger.
Which is... I was cracking up at Kel just doing stuff this whole episode.
Yeah.
It's very funny. So he uses like the plunger to try and get the wrapper off the lollipop.
Yep. That's excellent. Great writing right there. At one point, he actually sticks it to the plunger. He actually suctions it and holds it up for the audience to see. And then Kenan's kind of he's standing here kind of facing the audience, and he's just like, no, you know what? I'm not the right guy for Charla. So Kel, from the window of the breakfast bar thing, he goes, it's obvious to me that Charla doesn't like you. And then he closes it.
Yeah, that's right. He closes on the plunger.
And then Kenan's like, oh, fine, yeah, she doesn't like me. Yeah, there's no way she would like me. I know who I'm going to ask to the dance. I'm going to ask Belinda.
Belinda, yeah. He calls her up angrily as Kel is like throwing everything out of the closets, looking for something to open up this lollipop with.
I do love how Kenan has Belinda's phone number memorized.
I guess everyone back in the day used to memorize numbers.
But this random person we've never heard of?
Yeah, and that we'll never see ever again.
That's right.
Kenan, he exhibits confidence, and he calls her up and he tells her right away what, hey, you want to go to dance with me?
He should have just called up Charla.
You would have probably got a lot better, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that eye contact messes with your brain. She says that she can't hear him because she's washing her hair. And then Kenan goes, but wait, you're bald-headed.
Yeah, the washing her hair excuse, which is classic, like, I do not want to go on a date with you. Talk. But I like this idea of this teen that's bald.
Yes.
Named Belinda.
Bald Belinda.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
Kel finds what he was looking for in the closet.
yeah, he's emptying out the closet, throwing stuff everywhere, and he finds a baseball bat.
And he goes up to Kenan. He says, "Hold this." Gives him the lollipop. And then he does like one of the best comedy, like physical comedy bits. He winds up the bat. Then he like spits on it. He goes screams and does like looks like almost a real like wind up and to open this lollipop.
Yeah, he does like a leg kick and he swings it and he's trying to get the lollipop open. And Kenan's just like, "What are you doing? Are you crazy?" And he just easily peels the plastic off.
Yeah, and then he gives it to Kel. And after all that,
this is the best.
After all that, Kel licks the lollipop. And what does he do?
He says, "Ew, rainbow." And then he throws it towards Kenan, who's turned around, and the lollipop hits the back of Kenan's sweater and stays there.
Yeah, it just sticks there like glue. I've been laughing about this since like I saw this episode in high school. It's just he after all that he licks it and says he judges it based off the way it looked.
Yeah. Based
like
on his color, rainbow.
Something that he knew from the start when he got the lollipop.
But it was from a secret admirer, so he had to give it a shot.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, it stuck to Kenan's sweater, and it stuck there for like the rest of this first half of the episode.
That's right. He tries to grab it off, and he's like tugging at it. It's really stuck there. And then they cut to school with a little rainbow lollipop transition, and Kel is still pulling on the lollipop, and Kenan's like, "Man, you've been pulling the back of my shirt for the whole trip here."
Kenan goes to his locker and starts lamenting. I think my favorite Kenan lines of this episode.
This is good. This is really good.
Because as soon as he starts talking about his feelings, violin music kicks in.
"Oh, Cupid, why'd you have to shoot your arrow in my heart? Or why'd you have to shoot me in the heart with one of your arrows?"
I love it because he doesn't say arrows. He says arrows.
Arrows.
and just turn your back on me. Then the camera pans out. Great work by Virgil Fabian on this one. And you see right next to him is a violinist.
Yes, a man in a mustache in a tuxedo playing a violin.
Oh, he is there to for Kel to deliver him a poem.
Yes, I do not have the poem. Do you?
Roses are red, violets are blue. Will you go to the sweethearts dance with me? Which I gotta say, I am sick to death of that poem in media. I think it's been done and undone and just repeated so many times. It's a pointless collection of words now.
Where's the origin?
That is a great question. So it's from Edmund Spenser's epic "The Fairy Queen" from 1590. So it is as old as time itself. It's a Valentine's Day cliche, but it was a nursery rhyme in the 1700s, and then in the 1800s, Victor Hugo did stuff with it. So it's got a real history to it.
Oh boy, yeah. Somebody should write a book on it. If they have nothing else to do besides funding the Kenan and Kel Museum, you should. Adam, if I'm ever a multi-millionaire one day. And I have a couple $100,000 to spare. We're doing this museum.
That sounds good to me. I mean, we already have contacts.
We'll fund it with the sale, the merchandise from our
store,
our baseball stand.
Yeah, right. We have a very
we're
developing a multi-level franchise about Kenan and Kel fandom.
And we're not even branching into different forms of media. We are just
no.
We just have the podcast, Twitter, and now we want to start multiple businesses around this fandom, which would require like a cult following to financially sustain.
I would agree. Kenan and Kel fans are amazing, but I don't know if we have the numbers.
Probably not, but maybe we could get like a little tiny like alcove in Nickelodeon museum.
We're in the prime position to if there's a reboot that's released. If they bring back Kenan and Kel, things will be kicking off for us.
I really hope they do, because Kenan did not do it for me.
No.
Back to the show. We have a return guest. or a return character coming on.
Yes.
It's Mark Cram.
Oh, yeah.
And he says, "Oh, a violinist."
And he gives a big hug, which is funny because he likes nerdy things, like, I guess, first chair instruments.
And luckily for us, he doesn't spell violin.
And he goes over to, he's talking to Cal. He's like, oh, yeah, we're talking about the Sweetheart Ball. And he's like, the Sweetheart Ball. And he's like, oh, you didn't get a date? He's like, no, I got one.
Yeah. Like, who doesn't have a date?
I think Mark's used very well this episode.
I think so.
And things work out well for him. It's a lot of good feels this episode.
That's right. Charla enters. She opens her locker, which is right near Kenan's. And Kenan's like, so did that right guy ask you to the ball yet?
And she says, no, but I think he's about to. And she gets all excited. And Kenan immediately gets confused.
Kenan has very little self-esteem and self-confidence. He does not think that the right guy that she's referring to is him. And so he panics and says, oh, well, I got a date. and then he's like, oh, who is it?
Yeah, he's like, oh, it's someone. And then Cal like presses him. Now, what do you mean someone? What's her name? And everyone's just like Mark and Charlotte. They're all like, yeah, what's her name, Kenan? What's her name?
And he looks on the wall, and there is a poster, the one that Cal had earlier. It's a picture of Tamia. Kenan goes, I'm going to the dance with R&B Songstress Tamia.
Yeah, and I think everyone says like, Tamia, and Mark says, Songstress. Which I think he says that because he's fascinated by the fact that it's probably not a word.
Songstress. Songstress.
Like a song mistress, I guess.
Anyways, Cal is fascinated by this new information. He's like, you know her? Kenan's like, yeah, play along. And then Cal gets up on the bench and yells, hey, everybody, Kenan's going to the Sweethearts Ball with Tamia.
Yeah, and everyone's all, like, interested in that. Everyone, the bell rings, people go to classes. Everyone's interested except for Charla, who has a very sad moment here.
She's very hurt.
Alexis Fields, who plays Charla, does a very good job this episode channeling, like, kind of the sadness of a teenage girl.
It's great acting. I mean, it's just sadness in general. Like, come on. Like he clearly didn't get the hint. She was trying to, like, do the flirty thing, and Kenan's just so stupid.
Yeah, and she says, yeah, have fun with the ball with Tamia. And the audience is literally, like, saying, aww.
Yeah, I mean, Kenan just dropped the ball here. Absolutely.
He dropped the ball, and he told a giant lie that now he has to do something about.
I mean, it could have been just the best episode.
Yeah. This episode would have been over really quick.
They could have just had a bunch of fun at the dance.
I will say that this seems like a very 1999 episode, because nowadays, like, they would ask each other out early on, and then, yeah, like you said, we would get into all kinds of trouble at the dance itself.
Right.
And even next season, we get into, like, the bad stuff happens on a date.
Right.
Like getting there isn't the big step.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking back to all the other Kenan romances. Like what's the one in the Mo Sweater Blues? And then Doing Things the Hemingway.
Yeah, Brendan. Doing Things the Hemingway comes to mind.
Yep.
Brenda. Brianna.
Brianna, sorry.
Or as he hangs up on the sign, Brian.
Right. So Kenan, we do a great cut here. It's the poster, and then the poster cuts into the poster that's in Kenan's hand, and he's looking at it. He's in his kitchen, looking at it and talking to it. And he's like, he says this great line.
He's like, oh man, I wanted to go with Charla. No offense to me, but I don't know you. Cal shows up. He's ecstatic with the development with Kenan. Yeah, he's been telling everyone, apparently.
He's been telling everybody. In walks Roger and Cheryl, and they're like, Kenan, why didn't you tell us you were going to the ball with Tamia? And they're like, how did you find out?
And apparently they were told by the guy at the ice cream parlor and also the lady at the toll booth.
And they're like, and Kenan like looks at Cal. He's like, sorry, I might have told them.
So Cal's been spreading the word. And Roger says an amazing line. Do you have it?
I don't say this very much, but I'm very proud of you, son.
I love when Roger supports Kenan's romances.
It like very rarely happens.
Well, he's whenever Kenan gets like involved in someone rich or someone famous,
Right.
he's very supportive.
Very status driven.
When he got involved with like his boss's daughter, then like that was a no-go.
Isn't that funny, right? Isn't that funny? All Kenan wants is to be rich and famous, and all his dad supports him with is being rich and famous.
That's actually a really good point. Like maybe that's where he gets it from. His dad's like, passions and wants and desires.
Well, no child is born just like has a desire to like be rich and famous, right? Kenan probably just wants the support of his father. It's just like
that's a good point. Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, I mean that's probably why his most prized possession was his autographed Babe Ruth baseball, because not only had it have sentimental value, but it was also valuable and from someone famous.
And it worked in The Sandlot, so it might as well work in Kenan and Kel.
Yeah, I do want to say that this episode has a lot of call-outs to other episodes this season, and it was production episode number 322, which makes me think this should be the finale to the season.
Right.
It pays off so much from the whole rest of the show.
I think so.
They leave the scene because Cheryl says, come on, Roger, let's call our relatives and brag about Kenan.
Right, exactly. Again, with the status and with the...
And Roger gives him a big hug and is like, ah! And as soon as Kel starts doing the thing, Roger stops and gets mad.
Yeah, Kel goes, ah! Right back at him. He's all mad. And Kenan turns to Kel. He says, Kel, do you know what this means?
Kel, we have a little problem.
What? Flying saucers have taken over the Earth, and we only have they announced that we only have 33 hours to surrender?
This episode aired 3 years after Independence Day.
Oh, we're out of chopsticks?
His great second guest.
Oh, you have a lollipop stuck to the back of your sweater?
No! Yes, you do.
What? And then Kel proceeds to rip the lollipop off, and there's a giant hole.
There's a circle of sweater on the lollipop.
Circle of sweater.
A+ Kenan and Kel banter.
Yeah, yeah. It's the best. It's the best it's been
in a while.
Yeah.
He says, "Listen," and then Kel puts his ear up close.
Yeah. He says, "I don't know Tamia. Tamia is somebody I do not know."
Yeah. So first, Kel recoils at hearing him being real loud. Then he says, "How did you get her to the dance without her knowing you?"
Kenan's just like, this person.
I'm not going to the dance with her. Oh, are you going to call and tell her? So Kenan has a plan. What is his plan?
To go and listen to the flyer, which says that Tamia is going to be signing records at the Music Mart at 6 o'clock. Do you imagine that this is something artists used to do?
Oh yeah, it's kind of like I know booksellers or authors do this still nowadays.
Oh
with,
yeah,
signings and things like that. But I can't imagine anyone famous having something at least this low key as this event that we're about to see.
Right. It's low key, but she definitely has her security there.
Oh yes.
So we go to the Music Mart.
The Music Mart. We've been here before.
Oh, for the speakers.
Yes, this is the speaker store that in the limo.
Oh.
So it's been fit up as, again, it's paying off a lot of other stuff this season.
Yeah, very cool. So Kenan and Kel are just waiting in line here. They got CDs, and Kenan's just trying to act all cool. He accidentally throws his CD at Kel.
Yeah, he's playing with the rope and he accidentally lets it go. This is a great exchange. He says, "So Kel, what do you think the chances are of Tamia going to this dance with me?"
Kel says, "Is there a number before 0?"
Real funny line. Kel gets another gift from his secret admirer that he opens up here. What's this gift?
Underwear. With red hearts on it.
Yep.
Giant underwear. That Kel proceeds to put on the outside of his, not just outfit, the outside of his overalls.
Yeah, and he's like, this should be outerwear. Why doesn't everyone do this?
Yeah. Underwear. It works perfectly fine as outerwear.
He looks ridiculous. This line that he's about to say feels like a very Nick Cannon line. I don't know how to explain it. But he says to Kenan, "So Kenan, I told a lot of people that we're going to dance with Tamia. So get her to say yes, because I don't look like a fool."
Yeah.
as he describes while wearing out underpants outside his clothes.
Yeah. I don't really know Nick Cannon's style, but it's a little bit.
Maybe I'm just highlighting something that Kel doesn't normally say.
Yeah, it's kind of out of character for Kel, because Kel doesn't really care about what other people think of him.
Yeah, so that it's weird to have that in a line of dialogue. So they approach Tamia.
And Kenan's trying to act all cool. And so he's just like, oh, hi, well, and then he just like takes the CD and he's like, makes a hand motion and he actually like throws it behind him. And everybody turns and looks.
And she's all, don't be nervous. He's like, nervous? What are you talking about, nervous? And he just clears the table of all the CDs that are stacked on it.
Yeah. Meanwhile, there's this bodyguard who's 7 feet tall and has to be like 375 pounds.
Yeah, he is enormous, and he's got some very good bits coming up here. So Kenan asks Tamia out. I said, would you like to go with me to the Sweetheart Ball this Saturday?
And she goes, I don't really know if I can.
I don't know you.
Right.
And Kenan proceeds to give like basically an elevator pitch dating profile to her.
He goes, whoa, well, I like bike riding, poetry, I'm afraid of storms. My favorite color's plaid.
And he's a Taurus. We know what months of the year that Kenan was born in.
All right.
And we learned he's right-handed, so...
Which one is Taurus? Isn't that like end of year?
April 21st to May 20th.
Wow. Can you remove the part where I said, is that end of year? You don't have to. I'm sorry, everybody. One of my students asked me, Mr. Lemma, what's your sign? And I said, I will never tell you because that's not real. I said something like... I'm not playing this game.
I also just looked it up. Kenan Thompson is a Taurus, so that's probably where it's inspired from. Born May 10th.
My students tried to then guess, and they were wrong. This is why this is stupid, because you can't. It doesn't mean anything about who I am.
Yeah, if you were to say like, oh yeah, I'm a Cancer, and they would be all like,
oh yeah,
that makes sense.
No, okay, astrology is kind of interesting, and like there's definitely like interesting stuff about it. As a science teacher, I have to, I have to be like, guys, cool.
We explore a lot of different philosophies and stuff like that on this show.
Yes.
This is our turn to take a whack at astrology.
Okay, he's a Taurus. What does that mean about him, Adam? Taurus, bull. Kenan's a bull in a china shop, which is basically what he just did.
Also, Chicago Bulls. That's an interesting...
There you go. It was born to happen.
Out there. Strengths: reliable, patient, practical, devoted, responsible, stable.
Okay, all of these are not Kenan.
Weakness: stubborn, possessive, uncompromising.
All those. That's all of the weaknesses.
Yeah, no, I would not call Kenan reliable or responsible. I would call him practical, though.
Kel or Kenan goes like, no, you don't understand. You got to go to the dance, and he goes to, like, grab her or like to touch her face all romantically, and then
the bodyguard puts an end to that.
Yeah,
he says, "Time's up. Move along, boys," in a very commanding voice.
And then Kenan kind of moves aside. He's like, oh, okay. And then Kel goes, Kenan, I got this. And then Kel stands up to this bodyguard. He's at least a foot and a half shorter than him, or maybe a foot. And he goes, listen up. Don't make me come up there.
Yeah, he's like staring him down, but the part that he's staring down is like the middle of his chest.
Yeah. Oh, it's funny. And this guy is just like, and Kel's just like trying to like get all like, oh yeah, you think you're big, or blah blah blah.
Yeah, he poses to do some like karate or something like that, and the guy immediately just picks Kel up and lifts him.
Yeah, he just lifts him away. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, this gives Kenan some more time with Tamia.
And he does what he should do all the time and is honest with her.
Yeah. He says, look, I just thought that I really like this girl, Charla, and she's going with a special guy to the dance. But nice try, Kenan. So I wanted to go with somebody really special to show her that maybe there's something special about me.
Yeah, it's a very emotional bit.
Really sweet. Really powerful scene from Kenan here.
And it's funny because he thinks that, like, in reality... actually, let's... first, Tamia is kind of won over by this, because Kenan goes to leave, and she says, no, that's real romantic of you to do. Sure, I'll go with you.
Really? Yeah, and then Kenan kind of wins here. as Kel
he
is
does.
being held up by his underwear on the outside of his overalls.
And I gotta say that, unfortunately, what Kenan's actually done in this episode is done exactly what he was afraid of being done to him. He was afraid Charlotte was going to be with some awesome dude, and then and he would feel jealous and stuff like that. And now he's basically doing he's trying to two wrongs make a right. This.
So what you're saying, Adam, is that his fears and insecurities manifested in him creating the fears and insecurities on somebody else. He projected his own inadequacies and created a situation that did not need to exist.
They became his reality.
Exactly.
Because of his own undoing.
That's right.
That's exactly what happens.
And then he tells the truth to this random stranger, which is often easier to do than telling the truth to somebody that you know well.
In the same way that he called Belinda and got asked her out, no problem.
That's right. So I think some subliminal messages are really being sent through this episode. It's actually very good writing. And what's happening is that we're being told, okay, first off, kids, don't ask somebody to the dance that you don't know, right? It's a good idea. I mean, you can, but it's a good idea to know them first, right? That means you have to be friends with them. Okay, not a bad idea. Second, the best way to get to know somebody is to be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
And then third, people are probably going to like you for telling the truth. These are great lessons.
Good things will happen to you if you tell the truth.
Yeah, if you tell the truth, and if you...
Not the best, not a fully accurate message, but I agree with it.
I mean, they're subliminal messages, though, and I think they're on point. And that's because they're coming from young people and not creepy old men who like feet. Sorry, Dan.
No, you're absolutely correct.
I mean, that's just the reality. If we had kids writing TV shows, they'd be more about what kids want to see on TV.
It's crazy because, Nick Cannon and Kenan were both younger than we are now when they got this writing credit for the show. Right.
But they're a few years ahead of the characters they're writing. Right.
So they can look back 8 years.
Yeah. So my high schoolers, it's funny. I asked them in biology class to tell their life story, and then they tell me their story, and the things they highlight are not the things that I would highlight, because right. Their time frame's way shorter.
And give them 5 years to look back and I can't believe I did that thing, and then 5 years from then it's the same.
And that's why I get so frustrated when school administrators don't ask students what they actually want. Because you're so far removed from what's important to these kids, but they're not.
And that's a big I know that's a big problem with TV shows nowadays, especially when they do teenagers and teenage experience, stuff like that, because the writers of this, the kind of 40-plus-year-olds that are writing kids TV, this teen TV, are out of touch. They don't know what it's like anymore.
Right.
They still think that bullies wear Letterman jackets.
Yeah. And even if they had kids, a lot of times they don't really understand how dynamics work in the school. They'll just hear stuff and then they'll think about it and they'll try to write about it, but you don't really know, right? So I just think there's so much value in the people who are actually represented in these shows to be giving input or at least sharing stories.
Yeah, absolutely. We go to Rigby's. And some crazy stuff is about to happen visually on screen. First of which, Charla is very depressed.
Yeah, she's very sad. She's slumped over. She's eating ice cream out of the carton.
Big mood here.
Yeah, no, definitely. Meanwhile, Kenan is all dressed up with his Rigby's apron on. He takes the apron off, and he's like, so, Charla,
I can't wait for my date with Tamia. I'll be seeing you there.
He just doesn't get it.
Well, first of all, Kenan's outfit. I can't not say anything about it. He is dressed like Dracula. he has this black shirt, a black collared button down shirt, but the buttons are giant pewter brass buttons. His collar is almost popped in a way. It's enormous, and the way it's shaped on Kenan at this era makes him look
evil.
Evil and almost coffin shaped. He's large and broad and wide. It is something else.
Yeah. It's all buttoned up to the top. And then he said, Charlotte goes, "You're actually going to the dance with Tamia?" Like,
Yeah.
and Kenan's like,
And he's like,
"If I was lying, then there'd be a giant 7-foot tall polar bear walking up behind me."
the door opens up and a polar bear enters. But this polar bear is being held by Kel.
A stuffed polar bear from his secret admirer, who he still has not met.
No, according to the polar bear message, they'll meet at the Punch Bowl at 8:30.
Which is
So-
kind of cool. Like, okay, Kel.
Yeah. Kel is dressed in the blue Dumb and Dumber tux.
Yep.
Essentially, like pretty close representation of that. He's got a matching like powder blue hat on,
And a red rose. And then Chris comes out.
and who's puts all their outfits to shame.
Oh yeah, he's got this leopard print shirt. He's got this like the rubber, not the rubber, the like plastic leather jacket. You know, like the
Yeah.
really shiny one. And then he's got these like little 7-year-old Hot Wheels sunglasses with the with the yellow.
Yeah, and he's got a boombox over his shoulder, and he says, "Let me hear you say oh," which no one replies to.
He says, "Let me hear you say oh," and
And he puts down the boombox, hits play, and says, "Watch me bust a movement." And Chris proceeds to bust several movements.
he does. He's busting movements.
I gotta say, versus Happy B-Day Mark, this music is like 10 times better.
10 times better. It's probably why it's not on Paramount Plus, though. And then while Chris is dancing, Kel is spanking the polar bear.
Along to the beat, he's spanking this polar bear.
Kel is in full form this episode. Outstanding Kel performance.
Would you believe that in this episode, Kel has accomplished one of his life goals?
No.
As near as possible, I would say. Not exactly to a T, but his life goals established in episode 3, Doing Things the Hemingway, is that he wanted to spank a walrus.
Well, that is pretty darn close.
I think this is the closest we're gonna get. I'm gonna give it to him. Spanking a stuffed polar bear.
That is pretty close. It should have been a walrus, because that would have been more funny.
I agree. They would have made true on that. Kenan like looks at him when he does this, and you can see him like turn away and like just try not to laugh.
Yeah, it's rough. And then, anyways, Kenan then slides Chris's boombox off of the counter, the power counter, ending the funk era at Rigby's. But Chris will not let that stop him. He is ready to go bust another movement with his mother.
He and his mother got onto Funk Bus, whatever that means.
Yeah, they got onto the bus.
Yeah, I'm glad that while the dance is going on, he and his mom are having a fun time.
Chris is standing off to the side, holding his broken boombox. And then Kenan and Kel are like, okay, well, we better go to the dance. Kenan turns around and says, okay, Charlotte, I'll see you at the dance. And she says that she's not going.
And Kenan's like, what? Why not? And she says, the special guy asked somebody else out. I guess he didn't want to go with me after all. And Kenan's like, suddenly having second thoughts. He's like, well, if that was going to happen, then I would have. But Kel grabs his arm and pulls him out anyway. He's like, come on, we got to go. We're going to be late.
Kenan just lets Kel drag him out because he's kind of like, doesn't know what to do. And Charlotte looks very upset. Great acting by Alexis here.
Because, yeah, once Kenan hears that, he's like, oh, man, what a jerk that guy is. Kel grabs the polar bear and, like, rides it like a cowboy might ride a horse out. When Chris leaves, he does this, like, he keeps doing this bit of, like, Funk Bus Baby. Which seems like a Love Shack Baby type thing.
Kinda, yeah.
So they all leave Charlotte alone, who's munching on ice cream. But who enters Rigby's?
None other than Kenan's date, Tamia.
Yes. I'm not going to ask how Tamia knew that he worked at Rigby's. That's one of those mysteries.
Isn't it obvious? Everybody knows Kenan works at Rigby's.
And maybe she followed the trail of people that Kel told that he was going out with Tamia.
Perhaps. Or it's just convenient. So she walks up and she sees Charla and she's like, hey, is Kenan here? And she's like, you're Tamia.
And she, unfortunately, says that, man, I missed him. I wanted to tell him that I can't make it. And then Charlotte's like, oh no, he's going to be heartbroken. And Tamia says, wait, you're Charla, right? Because Kenan had told her, like,
right.
Oh, this girl that I work with. And we've smartly cut away as, like, hearts and stuff, we go to the dance.
Tamia starts telling Charla what Kenan said about Charla. And that's just a really sweet moment because it's like, oh, wait, there's still hope. and maybe Kenan's error isn't so horrible. I do want to say his era. Yeah, I do want to say the fact that Charla said, "Oh no, he'll be heartbroken," when she's heartbroken. Oof, she really cares about him.
No, it's that same feeling, like kind of between the two of them. The dance is going on. I think this is like a gymnasium set, is what they're going for.
Yeah, too light. It's too light, but I guess you can only do so much with the studio.
It's got a pink and blue and like indigo stripes on the walls.
It's really hard to describe this because I've seen so many rooms like it in my life.
Realistic, I guess, is the word for it.
It's like a middle school gym.
Yeah.
There's too many lights on. There's balloons everywhere. There are cupids on the wall.
They're playing acceptable funk music.
And then the DJ goes, this next song's for Kenan. It's by Tamia, and it's called Imagination, because that's the only way that Tamia's going to show up tonight. Something along those lines.
Yeah. As in, Kenan, if you think Tamia's showing up, you've got a great imagination.
Yeah, that's it.
This is why it's blocked, because they literally play Tamia's song Imagination.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Kenan is freaking out. It's been a half hour. She hasn't shown up. She's not going to be here. And he's like, I'm the only person without a date.
Mark Cran runs up with his date.
And we see that Mark Cran he's bonds with Kel because he and him are wearing the same suit.
Same exact tuxedo. Mine is the hat, must say.
How would you describe Mark's state?
Looks like if there was like an episode where there was like a supermodel coming in, like this is the actress that would play that. She's like young, but she's also like gives off supermodel vibes.
Yeah, especially with her name. I think it's Amani.
Yeah, Amani. Yeah, something like that. It's like, oh.
Yeah. And and it's with Mark, this nerdy guy, and he's all like, let's go DANCE.
Yeah, that's a great Mark line. Great Mark callback. Yeah. And then we finally meet Kel's secret admirer.
Yes. For those playing at home, I think when I first watched this, I'm like, it's got to be Kyra, right?
Right.
She's older now. She's like tall, and like maybe their relationship will finally like mature to like from a crush to something bigger. But no, it is not Kyra. Who is Kel's date?
It is the greatest writing in the history of Nickelodeon. It's the old lady.
Yes.
The I see lady.
That we first saw, like in the very first line of this episode was from her.
And here she is. She's been admiring Kel. Maybe that's why she keeps coming into Rigby's, playing dumb, because she's love struck.
And yeah, maybe she's not so great in person, but she sends all like sweetheart letters and stuff like that. We'll keep this like G and say like it's a crush type thing because Kel seems to be into entertaining this old lady.
I feel like she's just an older widow and she has a bunch of money and she like sees this handsome young guy and she's like, okay, let me go to the dance with him.
Yeah,
I think it was fun for her and Kel.
Mm-hmm. I agree. It's one of those bits that like all that has bits like this too all the time. But like the 70 years her junior thing doesn't fly as much nowadays.
No,
but,
definitely not.
Yeah,
but.
No, it's a funny payoff bit. And they go, and Kel's excited because he's like, hey, at least I have a date, and he goes dancing with her.
Right. What does she say? She says like.
Kenan says to her, Kel, she's an old lady.
And Kel goes, I see.
Yeah,
or something like that, right?
Kel says, you're just mad that your date didn't show up. And then the old lady says, you mean Tamia didn't show up? I see. Right. So even she knew that about Tamia. So Kenan's kind of like, oh man, this night can't get any worse. And then who shows up?
His parents.
Yes, they just came to get a picture, and they're dressed to the nines as well.
Yep. They came to get a picture of him and Tamia.
And he's all like, my parents can't be here. That's embarrassing. And he says to someone like, hey, I don't know these folk.
Yeah. And then they're just like, oh, that is embarrassing. You want to dance anyways? And then they're like, yeah, just for a little bit. And so then they go and dance at Kenan's school dance.
Yeah. Roger specifically says like, let's dance the night away.
Well, okay.
Yeah. So Kenan is in terrible shape right now. Until Charla rolls up.
In her Rigby's apron.
Yes, she's dressed normally. Normally for 1999. She's doing this weird, like hair thing. It still bugs me.
She got, like, pigtails up towards the front of her head.
Like, on her temple, she has, like, 2 small pigtails.
Yeah. Oh, it's all right. It's cool 90s do.
Yeah, but then she's like, She comes in with the apron, rips off the apron because he's like, no one wants that. And she tells her that, like, Tamia came to the store. She's not going to make it. And she told me everything.
And Kenan goes, everything, and his hand starts shaking as he's drinking some punch, spilling it everywhere.
He steals the punch glass from someone. And then he says, but boy, would you look at that Kel and that old lady. As he watches them dance.
Yeah, he's very nervous.
Charlotte puts his worries to rest because she says to him that you were the special guy all along. He realizes his confusion, and it was all a big misunderstanding. The DJ slows things down.
And then Kenan walks towards center stage with Charla, and they start to slow dance as the DJ says, that doesn't look like Tamia. And Kenan yells, mind your business.
Yes. And once again, to cap off the really great writing, Kenan says to her, would you like to dance? And she says, I thought you would never ask. I don't think Kenan and Kel gets like much sweeter than that.
Yeah. That was pretty great.
Besides, like, maybe like the Christmas episode, but that is real. It's a heartwarmer.
Real heartwarmer. Yeah, he got the girl in the end.
Mm-hmm.
But take notes, kids. Just ask. The worst she could say is, no, you're a loser. I never want to see you again.
The worst she could say is, I'm washing my hair, even if she's bald-headed.
That's right.
They go on stage, and you know it's good energy because the crowd is loving it, and Kel's still dancing like crazy. Yeah,
and he's dancing so hard it looks like he hurts himself. Like, actually.
Yeah, it does.
They just play it off like nothing happened.
He's like, this was awesome, great nights, but I wish I heard Tamia sing. And
then Tamia starts singing from somewhere. And then she opens the curtain, and it's her singing her song Imagination.
Yes. Aaron, do you know what R&B stands for?
Rhythm and blues.
Yes, good. I did not know that before.
Oh, come on, Adam. Oh, man, you're not
I had to look it up.
Oh, no.
Because even in this outro, she's announced as R&B Songstress Tamia.
Yeah, songstress. I don't know what that means, really. Somebody who sings and writes songs.
Mistress of songs.
Just sings. Anyways, Tamia sings. She comes out on stage. Everybody's cheering. Kenan's like facing the other direction, scratching his face. He doesn't see her.
Yeah, he says, Kel, your impression of Tamia is a little bit horrible.
Right.
But he turns around, sees her. She wants to apologize in person. And he says, yeah, actually, here's a way that you can apologize. Want to play a practical joke on a few hundred people?
And she goes, okay.
Yeah. Tamia's acting is, I'm going to say par this episode. It's not her strong suit, but she doesn't have to do much.
She's about as good as the guy in the Bulls.
Ron Harper, yeah.
Ron Harper.
Acceptable level like him and Bill Bellamy, too. So, they leave without giving Kel a list.
Right. And then, Kel's secret admirer shows up and says, you never gave me that foot massage you promised me.
Which, yeah. No comments.
No comment at all.
And she gives Kel a list of instructions for this. She says, grab, do you know the three things?
Vinegar,
applesauce, and a chisel, and meet me at the water slide.
That does sound like some old lady thing, like some secret remedy.
Come on, young man.
Yep, and here it goes. That's the episode.
Yeah. Kel seems nonplussed by this old lady still bothering him.
Great episode all around. I love the fact that the star power of Tamia didn't overshadow the writing, as a lot of our star episodes do.
This might be one of our best star episodes because it complements the story perfectly. It's woven in great. Like, even better than Bill Bellamy was my other standard. This is way better than that.
Yeah, way better.
Yeah, the fact that she's singing and that she's the song that they in the dance.
Yeah, great
it's
episode.
Good. Very good.
Even though I only saw 3/4 of the screen.
Well, I hope you saw enough to determine, Aaron, whose fault this episode was, Kenan's or Kel's.
Well, Adam, this episode was definitely Kenan's fault.
I would say so. It falls on him entirely for being very obtuse with Charla.
Even though you can't totally blame him because he's just a kid and he's just insecure and shy and afraid and not confident or low self-esteem, but still, it's his fault.
Just because he did something wrong, and it's his fault, doesn't mean that there was nothing to learn from this.
That's right.
And I hope that... I don't think it's the case, but I hope that Kenan uses this information to fix his relationships better in the show.
I would hope so.
I think it gets into more complicated situations, but That's Kenan and Kel. Before we get into our ratings, I have a quick letter I wanted to read from a fan.
Sure.
So this is from Bobby. He says, hey guys, I really don't want the show to end when you run out of episodes, so I want to pass along some ideas. I'd love to hear about some episodes featuring characters. Like, what if you did an episode just for Kenan, or Kel, or Chris? Also, episodes about settings, Rigby's, the school, the Rockwell residence. You can include breakdowns, as well as moments and facts. Another idea for an episode could be about conspiracy theories. Chris's mom being a witch, and a whole episode dedicated to that, talk, Kel's origin stories, etc. Thanks, Bobby.
Oh, thanks, Bobby.
Yeah,
that's great.
Thank you so much for reaching out to us. We absolutely want to keep the show going once we run out of episodes. So we've been tossing around some ideas, like, the books, revisiting episodes, doing Kenan and Kel other media. Please, if you're a fan of our program, send us an email, KenanandKelPodcast@gmail.com, and tell us your thoughts on what you want us to do once we finish season 4.
I certainly don't want to get roped into doing Drake and Josh with Adam and Aaron. Sorry,
no,
I think I need a break from a whole different universe. So this one, I'll keep going with Kenan and Kel.
I'm absolutely satisfied with doubling down on just Kenan and Kel.
What?
like not even all that, like just Kenan and Kel.
It might bring us enough time to really build out this Kenan and Kel media kind of,
Yeah.
I don't mean.
Agreed. Another one that I'm sure I would definitely do, especially after this episode, is take a shot at writing an episode ourselves.
Oh, we'll write a couple. Maybe we'll write a whole season.
A 5th season of Kenan and Kel. Oh, wow.
That would be fun.
Thank you so much for the letter, Bobby. So on IMDb, this episode is ranked very high. Ranked number 8 in the entirety of Kenan and Kel with an 8.1. So through the roof rating, very high. I agree that this is a top episode of Kenan and Kel. What do you think, and how many bottles of orange soda would you give it?
Great episode. Well written. I'm glad it touched on themes that young people in high school actually care about. I'm glad it was written by people who are involved in the show. Not to say that the normal writers aren't great, but it's nice to see the connection to things that actually do matter while also keeping it Kenan and Kel. So, Adam, I'm going to give this score, this episode, a great score. Another 10 out of 10. Haven't had one in a while, but this one certainly deserves it.
I am right up there with you. 10 out of 10. I was thinking of, like, what negative parts that I had here. Like, Charlotte's written very differently.
I think she's good, though.
What's written for her is great. It's just she's not like the snarky version of herself. She shows a more vulnerable side, and that's another side that makes her more dimensional. So that's not a bad thing. The Kel's true secret admirer thing, it's a little weird, but I'll let it slide.
It's more so funny than weird because this old woman is harmless.
It's a good punchline.
Yeah.
My only regret is that it wasn't Ethel, that they moved to California and had
that's true.
to lose her. So. But 10 out of 10. The episodes don't get much better than this one. So, thank you all for joining us, and we recommend finding it on Daily Motion since Tamia sang her song.
That's right. We will hopefully see you at our t-shirt shop, T Public. You can see the link in our show notes. Coming out with the best of Kenan and Kel parody apparel. And we'll also see you next week when we review the final episode of Season 3. It's finally over. Season 3 has come to an end, the 22nd episode with Poem, Sweet Poem, written by our favorites, or maybe not so favorite anymore because the writers this episode did so well. Our go-to crew, Kevin and Heath, directed by Kim Field, not Virgil.
Yeah, let's go back to formula and see if these guys can. But my question is going to be, is this episode a better season finale than that one? And I think we may have a special guest on as well. So tune in, and I can't wait to see you again.
Until next time, everybody. Here it goes. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Kenan and Kel with Adam and Aaron. If you want to stay in touch, send us an email at KenanandKelPodcast@gmail.com, or you can send us a voice message at anchor.fm/KenanandKelPodcast. Our social media accounts are all at KenanandKelPodcast. That's Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Thanks, everybody. Can I have a sip of your tasty beverage to wash this down? I'm sorry.